Salutations, School Believer! Do you have a dream of becoming an entrepreneur, but don't know where to start or even what to do? Where can I gather information quickly about what's in my zone of genius? Don't worry, School Believers, I got you covered. Go to tuepodcast.net/AI prompt and check out an amazing set of AI prompts that will give you ideas, information, and articles to help you get across that start line. Once again, go to tuepodcast.net/AI prompt to get you started now. Good luck, School Believer. This is an Undiscovered Legacy production. Welcome to The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, the podcast where brand new entrepreneurs come to life and could quite possibly be discovered. Join me, DJ Scoob, and the rest of the School Believers as we help these new businesses become a reality. And now, away we go! We now join DJ Scoob in the second coaching of Lori Davenport, already in progress.
It's been a little while since I've talked to you. I know you had some stuff happen, but that's okay. Life happens. But how are you? Are you doing all right?
Doing well. Yeah, I'm excited about some of the things that I'm getting into, and the fact that I got my SOP at least started. So, yay. And
yes.
got out of some things that I don't need to be in anymore. And now I'm like just starting anew. So my word for this year, at first when somebody was asking me about it at the end of 23 was awaken, but I'm going more so with ignite.
Ooh.
So yeah.
What brought that?
It speaks
why
to
did
me.
Why did ignite happen? I mean, awaken's awesome and I understand that works, but why ignite? Why was that word set for you?
Well, a couple of reasons. One, I have been training a girl at my full-time job. And she's just like, I don't know what I would have done without you. And you've been such a great trainer. And, you take the time and you go through me, and I was, go through things with me. And it's just like, I don't have her strengths report, but I can tell she's got a lot of similar strengths to myself. But she does have things where you have to not overwhelm her. But so I was able to train her in a way that ignited her spirit. So she was able, and I'm not going woo woo with this at all. I'm going into the fact that I could get into her intellect, and she was able to succeed and grow without overwhelm. So it ignited something in her in the way of her learning that she was excited about. So, and I want to ignite excitement, and that's where I'm going.
So that ignited her.
Mm-hmm.
How did that ignite you?
The fact that I was able to, because I'm constantly saying, I don't want to overwhelm you, because I overwhelm myself all the time. And I said, I don't want to give you too much information at once. So I was like, tell me if I'm giving you too much information. She's like, you're not. I'm so grateful for everything that you like make me aware of, and you help me to see that I don't normally see. And, I can just see the glow exciting, being excited with her. And that just excites me. So it's just like, yes, I'm moving her forward. So it's just like, and by doing things the right way, from things that I've learned, and ways to create things that make it simple. So it's been very, very exciting.
Good. That's actually amazing. I love the fact that you're able to ignite, because that's our word, right?
Yeah.
Somebody else with your personality, with your questions, and having the presence of mind to listen to them long enough to understand where they're at. Cause that's a major part of that too. A lot of people, like I heard that the the interruption time for our doctor is like 18 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's like, whenever I think about that, it's like 18 seconds. There's nobody that's going to be able to get across anything in 18 seconds. So being able to take the time to actually listen to her, understand what her problem is, and then not only that, but be able to understand where she's coming from and able to articulate what she, be able to listen to what she actually needs from you, but still checking in and say, are you okay? Am I overwhelming you? And that kind of thing. That's amazing. That's awesome. I'm glad you're able to do that. So the question is really, can you do that with other people, you think?
I do. I'm learning how to do two things. One, to coach, which I've been learning forever. And I get that. I get how to coach, but to mentor is a totally different beast. And, so with teaching her, I'm also mentoring her because I know even starting next week, I'm moving on to something else. So I'm moving, it's the same company, but a different position. And if anything, I've set her up for success. It's like, okay, so now instead of saying, this is where you go, this is what you do, here's the step-by-step, it's like, okay, so if I wasn't there and you couldn't get a hold of anybody, where would you go next? And let her think it through more so than me telling her the answer. So that was an eye opener for me too. So that's where I'm at. It's good.
That's good. That's really good. Explain to me your definition, the difference between coaching and mentoring, because for me, it's very similar. So there's got to be like, what's the actual main difference between, in your mind? I want your answer.
In my mind.
Yeah. I don't want like the textbook answer. I want your answer.
So for me, it's like if you have a technique that you're teaching, okay, that is part of the coaching. Coaching is more along the lines of explaining the technique, giving the step-by-step, and then making sure that they understand it, kind of like a quiz, But then with mentoring, it's just like, how would you approach this? So they would tell me the step-by-step. They would tell me the technique, and they would, so they're doing more of the talking instead of me. So, and I know teaching and coaching, can sometimes get confusing too, because teaching, you're teaching, talking, but you're asking questions at the same time when you're coaching. Whereas, and I know you can ask questions with teaching as well, but, ultimately there's just an answer with teaching. And I sometimes get those two mixed up. I will say that. But once they know the technique, then you can implement with coaching, kind of like teaching too. But teaching, sometimes when you teach something and people learn it, it's like they either take it or they leave it. But with coaching, it's like they've come to you for something. They're like, this is the specific thing I want to work on. Can you help me out with that? And, so then you can, get them to bounce back and forth and, give them techniques or what have you. But then something thought-provoking more so than just, okay, you've done your answers, now moving on. And it's like out of sight, out of mind.
Right. Exactly. Me personally, and I'm just going to give you kind of my thing. It is really close for teaching and coaching. But the teaching thing, when I think teaching, I think, okay, this is the curriculum. This is what I have to follow. I get the answer. I try to get them the answer. Once they actually get the answer, I move on, just like you're saying. But coaching, on the other hand, is not just getting the answer. It's also getting their feeling about the answer. It's getting their emotion about the answer. Why did you answer that way? What do you feel when you say this answer? And then that's kind of what I think of. I think teaching, like I'm talking to 30 students, where coaching, I'm talking and giving my full attention to one person. Right.
Or even if it is a small group, it's like, what do you want to do? I've figured out that there's three small questions when it comes to coaching, at least to start. What do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How is it going to make you feel? And then if you really want to get fun, you can ask the fourth question. What's going to happen if you don't achieve that? Then you can get both sides.
So explain to me those questions. What do you want? When do you want it? And how do you want it? Did I say those right?
What do you want to do?
Uh-huh.
Why do you want to do it?
Why? Okay. Uh-huh.
And how does it make you feel? How would that make you feel? Sorry.
Uh-huh.
How would
No.
that make you
Yeah.
feel?
Yeah. So when you ask somebody what, I mean, let's take your protege. I'm going to call her a protege just because I can.
Sure.
When you ask her what I don't want you to get too like technical or like into her thing, but when you say what does that mean?
Basically, it tells me where does she want to go from where she's at to where she wants to go. With whatever it is. So, and then why do you want to do it? Gives me her why.
Okay, I'm going to circle back to what I feel like there's more to that.
Okay.
Can you get deeper in the what? Get deeper in.
So what do you want to do? I guess because, if you want to strive for certain positions, I'm not the management type that will say, well, that's going to, you're going after my job. I actually want her to train. I want to train her my job. That way, if I'm not there, she can handle it. She can do it. And it's like, well, what do you want to do? I want to learn everything that I can. Perfect. Well, I'll teach you my position as I've been learning it. And that way you can succeed in either one, taking my position if I decide to move on, or two, able to run the place without me here.
So when you explain it to me that way, it feels like teaching. You're teaching her your the way
Well,
you
with her,
do things.
Yeah, and with her I am. With coaching though, when it comes stepping aside to when I've been coaching, it's what did I do with that? I guess I have been mixing up the teaching and the coaching a lot lately, only because I have been teaching a lot. So, but with coaching, if you wish I had my list of questions because I have a bunch of questions and I didn't come with the questions because I was so focusing on the SOP. But nonetheless, it's if you ask a bunch of open-ended questions instead of the yes and no's and get their answers from their heart, then you're coaching rather than yes, no. Oh, okay.
So what we need to do is flip that thinking from teaching to coaching, and not just asking the yes or no, can you do this, can you not do this, but like I said earlier, how do we feel about it? How does it make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of thing. That's when it turns into coaching.
Right.
Right. That's when it turns into, let me turn that off. Sorry. When it turns into, actually listening to those particular answers, not just the yes or no answers, but why does it make you feel this way answers, right? That's when it turns into coaching.
Right.
So that's why I was saying I need you to dig a little more into the what, because the what you were giving me was just the yes or no. And what I want is the emotion that's behind the what.
I guess that's the reason why I did the 3 questions to start, which is, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How does that make you feel? So they're all kind of all in one. It doesn't, the way I started it before is like, I didn't dig too deep because it's like, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And so get those simple answers. And then we could go deeper with, how does that make you feel? And then ask more, more inquisitive questions and figuring out what their strengths are. If I don't have a report, and then, all right, well, this is how we can make this work, to help you with whatever it is you want to put your strengths towards.
So, and then now explain the why to me.
Why do you want to do it? What's the driving force basically behind it? So, how the more questions that you would ask, you would get a more definitive answer. Like, I know that there's a book, I think it's 5 Whys or something like that. Like, the more you ask the why, the deeper that you get, and it actually gets to the feeling. But, it's like, well, then it really makes you think. So, and I think it's 5 levels deep. And I don't remember the name of the person who wrote the book, but
That's okay.
nonetheless.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
The more you go into the why, it actually defines the why.
So why gets us to, if you had Russian dolls, you remember those, the doll inside the doll inside the doll.
Exactly. Yeah.
We keep peeling those off until we get to the smallest one there. And that's where we want to hit. That's our ultimate goal. The end is that why right there is what makes us do what we do and how we do it and where we do it and things like that. It's because of that why. So if you notice, and I don't know if you know this or not, but there's actually 5 dolls and all those,
Yes.
5 of them, right?
Yeah.
So same difference, right? We want to peel off at least 5 of those layers to get to that why, to get to that last Russian doll, so we can understand where we're going to go. So tell me about the how. Now tell me about the how.
So how does that make you feel? Like, if you can't drill to the feeling of the why, it's like, how does that, like, this is why you want to do it. This is what you want to do. How would that make you feel? And people tend to go to the positive, but not the deep meaning positive if you do it quickly. But then it's like, well, how would it make you feel if you didn't achieve that? You quickly see the slippery slope. And, it'd be great, it'd be great, it'd be great. Oh my God. I don't know if I can do that. And, well, this is why we're here, to figure out your right way. What are your steps? Let's ask more questions. Let's do more sessions. Let's figure it out.
And how do those answers make you feel, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, Lori, what do you want?
Well, I figured out that I definitely want to ignite the belief in people again, because I feel like, oh my goodness, this world has lost themselves in a lot of ways. A lot of people, I keep on coming across people who just, I don't know if it's because of COVID. I'm blaming it on COVID, but that's just me, with people being, cooped up for as long as they were. And even those that weren't, I was one of those that wasn't. I was one of those, people that had to go to work because of the position I was in and where I was working. We were central personnel. So we had to go to work through it, but I'm just coming across so many people that have just lost themselves, and they're angry or they're sad or they're stuck, and and I'm not even a relationship builder, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got to help these people. So I want to, when I came across what my strengths can do to help others, it was just like an epiphany the other day. And that is, I just want to, use my strengths to believe, ignite the belief in others, so that way, it says my strengths, I found it. Help my strengths. I had to write it down.
That's okay.
Help me to ignite the belief inside me, create clarity, get things done, and inspire things to come. I continue to learn to be me, create purpose, and think about new ways to get things done. They will forever help me move forward. My strengths will forever help me move forward. So, and the turnaround to that is I use my strengths to help others ignite belief in themselves, and to create clarity, to get things done, and to inspire things to come. And help them to learn to be them, continue to learn to be them, create purpose, and think about new ways of doing things. Their strengths will forever help them move forward.
Good. So is that your own writing?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's you make sure you put that somewhere where you see it all the time.
Oh, I'm reading it every morning and every night.
Got to
right
put it
now.
somewhere where it's, that's pretty awesome.
It's taken me 5 days to be able to say that without crying. So
I'm proud of you for that. That's actually,
thank you.
that makes my heart sing. It really does. So you want to be able to ignite other people.
Yeah.
My question is, how do you ignite yourself first? I know you
Well,
want to help other people and do it other people,
mhm.
and that ignites you, but you can't ignite anybody else until you ignite yourself first.
Right. And that's why I'm leaning on my strengths so much, because they're me and it's infinitely me. I am infinitely unique. Like if you go and look at the numbers, nobody else in this world, either before or after me, have these exact strengths in this exact order. And that's the beautiful thing about it. So, and the fact that I just kept pushing myself down. And once I put this in writing and I was just, and I said it for the first time, I was just like, yes, over the weekend, and I'm like, it's still like a smidgen there, here being Tuesday. Yeah. Cause I did
Yep.
Saturday.
Mhm.
So, but it's because I feel like so many other people, it's just like you push yourself down just to get life done. And, it's just like, you can't keep doing that. And I think that's where all this frustration is coming from, is because everybody's just been so suppressed and not being able to be creative. And I'm not saying it in a way like an artist way, just creative in anything, you know? So with creating connections with others, creative in how they do things, and processes and such, creative in, just learning, you don't have to do it through a book. You can do an audio book, that as an example.
Yeah.
Creative and how are they going to move somebody else forward? So, and that's the beautiful thing, is when you see people like light up when they're just finally understood, because I feel like so many people are just not understood right now because they don't believe in themselves, or they haven't allowed others, or others haven't been allowed to get to know them. And this kind of brings all that out. So that's what inspires me. That's what ignites me when I see my mentor calls this, and I call this a strength smile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. You just can't put any definition to it. It's just awesome.
And that's how you make change in people.
Yeah.
You recognize those problems, you recognize they're lost, and you find out what ignites them. And then you have the gift of being able to find that. Not everybody has that gift. Not everybody can actually sit down and listen to people to a point where you find out actually what ignites them, because you actually have to sit down and listen to them longer than 18 seconds.
Exactly.
Right. And
Yeah.
if you have that ability, if you're capable of doing that, you have something that most people don't, at least not a good percentage of people.
And a lot of people lost it, unfortunately.
Well, we had a lot less people before, but now we have even less people now after COVID, because we lost a lot of human connectivity. We lost a lot of touch with ourselves. We learned to talk over long distances with each other via TV or, like the computer or whatever, but there's still something missing in there. And I think we need more of whatever that is thing we're missing. And you can find it. I think you could find it in other people, not just, like you and me talking, but physically actually going out and helping other people the way you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can feel it. I know it. So what's your why? Again, we talked about what. I want to talk about why now. Why do you think you have this ability? Why do you think you do this?
Well, I didn't know how easy it was going to come to me once I learned about it, and I start seeing not so much patterns, but just combinations of things. So it's like putting points together that don't usually go together and um making sense of it. So I I really can't explain it, but it just why I want to do it is because I'm so tired of seeing people just sad or disgruntled or misunderstood because everybody's got strengths. They're just different. And when you get people together, especially a group of people together, and you see, and everybody's talking about the strengths of one another instead of the weaknesses, or, you know, there's no shaming and looking for somebody's strengths. It's such a great environment to be in. And I think more people need that.
I agree with you 100%. More people need that. What I'm interested in, though, is why you think you have the capability to ignite. Why do you think you have the capability of helping other people ignite their inner strength? See, I'm going to make it go deeper.
Yeah, I
We're,
gotcha.
we're looking for that
So
next
another
dog.
why.
Yes.
Well, it's because, I want to leave a legacy. I want to have something that my kids can, you know, see me succeed with. And, other than just like getting a job or whatever. And the fact that I can touch on certain points, not pain points, but strength points. It's like, so I almost can't put it into words. It's so strange. It's just like, if someone is like asking me a bunch of questions and I was like, you really like going deep with people. You really like finding all that information out. Yeah. And it's just like, now what do you do with that information? Do you just kind of put it away and they're able to bring it out later on? Yeah. And just seeing that is amazing because I just want to pick just a couple things that a person does. Like somebody who is a deep thinker, their mind is going like this. But those people who are influencers, their little motions, like what I'm doing, are outward. You can see it, but I recently figured out that I have a lot of the internal stuff. So I have a lot going on in my head that not people don't see. But then when I let it out, it makes a difference. And that's part of my why. I was like, why have I been holding this back so long? I need to just do it. So that is definitely part of my why, because it makes me feel good that I'm able to help. I'm able to move um to find some of the best qualities in people rather than, just anything that's in appearances.
So what do you think's holding you back from these being able to expel these ideas, or being able to talk? I mean, you're talking to me about holding things back, or something was holding things back from here for being able to come out. What's stopping you? What do you think is stopping you from bringing that?
Well, I'm starting to get over because when we last talked, we talked about my grandmother and how
Mhm.
she told me, oh, you can't do that. You can't
Right.
start your own business. And I had that topped off with an uncle who did the same thing, and even though
Mhm.
he owned his own business. And it's just like, oh, it's just too much hassle. It's too much this, too much that. And it's just like, but now I'm like finally to a point where I can sit, and this just literally happened in the last few days. It's just like, What's happened has happened and I can't change it. What they've said has been said and it can't be unsaid. Now, how I react to it is where I can change it. So that's why I'm saying I want to ignite the belief within, because it's just like, I believe I can do it. Thank you.
That's exactly what I was trying to tell you in the last session.
Mhm.
Like almost word, like I'm tearing up right now. That just makes me so proud that you're able to come up with that. I'm like amazed at you being able to say that, because that's exactly what it's about. And you're doing exactly what I said. It's acknowledging the past is, acknowledging that it's there. It's not going to be undone, but taking that and then turning it into something positive, something different that's going to be positive, not just for you, but for the next person and the next person and the next person that you ignite. Right. Your uncle, tell me a little bit about your uncle. He had a business.
Yeah, he actually owned his own business. He was one, I think, of four sons who inherited a shop from their father and from his father. And it was a tailoring business, very fine Italian suits. And so he had, people that he had to go and see, like say literally in Italy in order to find the fabrics. And he had, his, not seamstresses, but his tailors.
Mhm.
And then, also had the salesman, so he had, the overhead, he had, the payroll and, he had the whole nine and got burnt out. So, but I mean, good news is that I think his space was bought out. I don't remember the whole story, but so that kind of helped in a way. But he definitely, once that happened, he's like, I'm not opening another store. I'm good. And this was years ago.
Right.
So
Right. So what I'm seeing now is your grandmother, and we talked about her, so I'm not going to go too much further into that. But now you have your uncle. Were they the married couple or so your grandmother and
no,
uncle? No, okay. So all
his
right.
grandmother and uncle.
Uncle, okay. So your uncle was in a business he did not want to be in.
Yeah, he didn't like it.
So
So
when you're doing something that you don't like, what tends to happen?
it kind of rings in my ear. And that's part of it. It's like, don't do it. It's not worth it.
Well,
And
what I'm saying is though, and I understand your answer and I appreciate the answer because you're right, but that's not where I'm going with this. Your uncle was in a business that he didn't like. So when he hears about somebody else talking about going into a business,
yeah,
he's going to be negative about that because the business that he has, he
or
hates
had.
or had,
Yeah.
he hates.
Yeah.
And I bet once he actually got rid of it, he was very happy to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So when you hear in your head that your uncle said, don't start a business, understand
Yeah.
the only reason why he's saying that is because the business he had, he hated.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
Little different than grandma, but at the same time, it still predicates the same way. Somebody said something that was negative to you. You don't want to do this. You can't do this. So it makes you hold things back. But I'm glad to hear that you're actually starting to make that shine more. You're starting to let yourself come out more. You're starting to ignite yourself more often. Go ahead. It's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Well, I'm really glad to hear that. That really makes me feel good. So tell me about the how. How does this make you feel? I want to hear about how all of this that we talked about up to this point makes you feel.
I'm starting to feel a sense of freedom. Even though I don't have the money, I don't have I don't have the time. I haven't, gotten to the point where it's just like, I work 4 hours a week and it's great. But I'm not there, I'm not retired from my job. Just the thought is so freeing. And like, I can do this. I want to go do a workshop. That's what I want to do. That's when I want to start. I don't care if one person shows up. I don't care if anybody shows up. If no one shows up, I should say. I don't care if 100 people show up. at least if I put it out there and I've actually, put a date and then, which I'm striving for February. I do know that much. And, I just need to find a venue and, where to do it. So I'm trying to start like, I don't know, community college, not college, community center, because looked into the library and you're not allowed to sell things. So like, okay, well, at least I tried and I was told no and I didn't like, oh, I'm just not going to do it. I'm still looking. So that's the part that's so freeing is that is like, I got through the no and I'm not accepting no. I'm going to keep going.
Good.
So
Yes. Yeah. No is not always no. No is I have to change something or tweak something so I can get a yes.
exactly.
Right. It's good to have freedom, even if it's not like technically freedom, like time freedom, but it's freedom up here. It's freedom to be
Yeah.
able to think. It's freedom to be able to express. It's freedom of getting into your zone of genius without having anything hold you back.
Yeah. And you don't feel like you're just kind of bobbing along.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of people will have the idea of what freedom is and they think money and time. That's the first two things that pop into people's head when they hear the word freedom. But for people that know better, we know freedom is not always just money and time. There's other parts of us as humans that want to be free to think, free to act, free to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm seeing you do that more and more now. Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I want to hear more about this workshop. Tell me about this workshop.
Well, basically it would just do you would precursor to the workshop is that you have to get your strengths report and you have to get your full 34. So that way, when you come in, we would be able to talk about, where do you fall? Do you like to connect with the right people? Do you like to just to do things the right way? Do you like to just move people forward, or do you like to think, create, and or learn? And then there's the fun ones that have multiples, that can have 2 or even 3 of those things that they do together. And then you get real curious as to how does that work for them, So, and then they can create like a liberation statement. So I don't have to do this, and you can look at your strength report and actually put it into words. And then instead of saying I have to, I get to. That has been huge for me.
Yes.
I get to.
My third interview of my podcast 2 years ago made a point of that. And that changed for me too. And once I heard that, it kind of opened up a few doors for me. So I understand completely where you're coming from when you get to say that to yourself. And the more you say that to yourself, the more positive things are going to be for you because you get to go to work. You get to breathe. You get to wake up in the morning. You get to watch the sunrise. You get to drive a car. There's a lot of different things that you can put that into that'll make a big difference. So,
and I've got no one to thank but my mentor at EVIA, because he was the one that put that together. And I'm just like, I want to do what you do. And I don't feel like I have the feeling of I'm taking from him. I feel like I'm just helping it along, because we need so much more, and he's like one person. And I was like, I can do it on the East Coast. Let me do it.
well, that's good to hear you say it, because in our last interview, you felt like you were stealing from him.
Right. Yeah. I was feeling like that.
Yeah. I'm glad you've come to the realization that you're not stealing from him, but you're just carrying on in your own way what his teachings are.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there a way you can do the workshop without selling?
Probably.
What would that look like?
So, and I've actually thought about that. It's like, I want to do the workshop and I want to say, this is a beta. Come with me. Come to do this And I don't even know if I've been toying with the idea of maybe just doing Zoom first rather than in person, because then I don't have to worry about like working out money for a venue. Because the place where I live, there's a lot of places that, yeah, you can come here, but it's this much money. And I was like, well, not there yet. But Zoom is free. So, for a certain time, for a certain amount. And I've got the version to where I can have 999 of my friends with me. And so I've been toying with maybe just doing a Zoom first and saying, okay, how do you like this? By throwing it out there for people who are local. So that way, if I do decide to go ahead and do it live, then they can come and we can meet each other. And I think that's where I feel like it's more important, even though, again, I'm not a relationship builder. I don't have to connect with people, but I've learned that people need this. So even if you're not a relationship builder, just to know that the fellow man's got your back in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
instead of having to look behind your back and say, all right, who's stabbing me now? It's like, who's lifting me up instead? And I feel like that is just being lost right now. So if you could be in a room with people who are just looking at your strengths and not what you can't do and what you don't have to do, I think that's just going to be amazing.
But do you necessarily have to sell something to do that?
In a way, I guess you sell everything, don't you?
True, but I think and where I'm going with this is the library.
Oh, yeah. That's a
There's
good point.
there's a way, because the library will do it for free,
True.
but you can't sell something. So don't. Just
What?
give the talk. And then people that resonate with you will contact you, and then you could take it from there, because now you're outside the library. The library is going to be the free venue that you don't pay for, that you get your name out there. That's all
Okay.
that's going to be for. Even if you only do it once every 2 months,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Schedule the time with the library, talk about what you do, but don't sell anything. Don't even mention it. Don't even mention to the library. And if they say something, okay, cool, I'm not going to sell anything. It's fine. I'm just here to give a talk, a structured talk about workshop, whatever it is,
Yeah.
workshop is, right? But I
Yeah.
promise you, I will not sell anything. That will get your name out there. That will get people to start following you, maybe even on social medias. Yeah, depending on, now I don't know how far along, if they consider, follow me on social media as selling. I would actually ask
I
them
don't
about
know.
that.
I'll have to find out.
You gotta see what the line is.
Yeah.
I've actually, out here, I'm going to start asking, there's a local charity group out here that has a workshop there that actually I can go to and do a venue for free.
Ooh.
And I'm not going to sell anything, but I'm going to teach them how to start a business. That's all it is.
Oh, very good.
And then if they decide they want to go further, they'll contact me. But at the
Right.
same time, what am I getting out of it? I'm learning how to actually stand up and speak. I'm learning how to actually talk about my workshop more and more, articulating it better, listening to myself say the workshop, recording it, of course, and then
Mhm.
listening back to it, saying, I could change that a little bit, and then refine.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I wouldn't put the library completely out yet.
Okay.
And then if you get the right person to listen to you, they'll say, hey, I have this happening. Would you come speak? Right? That's a possibility too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a lot of possibilities out there that are free, that you don't have to cost anything or even sell anything. It's not just for them, but it's for you just as much as them, because
True.
you're teaching yourself how to speak.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay?
Lots of practice there.
Lots of practice. I'm actually going to start speaking online. I'm going to start speaking on YouTube and Facebook, just doing lives. And I'm going to start teaching myself that way too. There's all kinds of ways that you can get your word out there of what you do without selling anything. I'm not going to sell anything, but somebody will contact me because I was able to reach to them in one way, shape, or form.
Okay. I like it.
You like it?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Any questions at this point?
No, this has been pretty eye-opening because I was going to discount the library, but I'm not going to because I don't need to sell something on my beta group.
Doesn't even have to be a beta group. Just, hey, my speech is about workshop. Come see if you want to see it. It's free. If anybody's going to want to see it for free, who wouldn't want to see it? That's interested in building whatever workshop is about.
Okay.
You even said yourself, even if nobody shows up,
I'm good with it.
you're good with
Yeah.
it. See? Exactly.
Okay.
If nobody shows up, then you could sell, because there's nobody there.
Yeah.
So something else I want to talk about real quick, and this is the one you're prepared for. I threw all that at you. I'm sorry.
It's
But I
okay.
want to hear about this SOP that you've been working.
Okay. So I had to start it from like absolute scratch. And I don't have it with me. I'm sorry. But that's okay. I know what I need to do. So in trying to keep my my head clear in order to stay focused, I have noticed that I definitely have to have my space clear. And if that is my absolute number one, make sure your space is clear. So then I can go ahead and start. But then I've also learned that I have to keep it in smaller increments. You like hit the nail on the head when you were just like, I work 3 jobs. And I was like, and I do this and I do that. And I was like, how on earth do you find the time to build your business then? You're like, well, I have this time and this time, and that's all I've got. I'm like, well, if he could do it, we all have the same amount of time in the day, right? It's just like, why can't I? So, so I've gotten myself involved in where I'm a mentor and, so I have that structured. I have to be on the Zoom at this time, on this date, no matter what. Hey, people, I can't do anything with you during this time and this time. So, we'll just work around it. And so far, so good. I mean, I'm only 2 weeks in, but hey, I'm actually doing it. So, I'm starting to get that structure, and it's like, all right. And this mentorship is only for a short time. It's only for a couple of months. So it's like, then I know I can take that time and delegate it to something else because I already have it dedicated for something. So, but then I also have for me a list, things that I can check off. I like checking things off. So that makes me feel good. It's like a sense of accomplishment finally, And I also like learning new things. So I allow myself a little bit of time, learn something new to help me move forward and implement. So that's the part where I haven't been strong. Was like learn something new that I think is going to move me forward, and then I didn't implement it. And so now I'm giving myself the time to actually implement. So that's a part of the SOP too. It's like, take this time, check it off that you did it, but that you implemented it. And it's not finished until you implement it. So that's where that's at. Now I'm working on how to figure out content and getting that worked in because I'm in the middle of switching platforms because I ended the platform I was in. And since we last spoke, and I also got rid of the email marketing that wasn't doing anything for me. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. So now I feel like I'm actually, when I do put stuff out there, it's actually going to bring the raving fan I'm looking for rather than just some empty, to me, an empty email, to them, an empty email or empty offer, because we don't have any sort of connection whatsoever other than here's an email, here's an offer. Do you want it? And I haven't gotten anything. So, and I don't just need the click per action. I want something that's going to help literally move me and them forward. If it's just like, thanks, have a nice day, I don't want to have that non-lasting impression. So, but anyway, so I'm going to be learning a new platform. So I've put some time aside for that during the weekend. And, in order to do like funnels and the CRM and all of that stuff, it's just something new. I'm learning that, about chat GPT and AI and all that. So that's going to be super helpful in helping to create when it's like, all right, here you go. This is what I have. Make something for me. And then pretty amazing, what it comes up with. It was like, oh, cool. Okay. Now I'd put this spin on it, or make it a 6-week or do that, so I've been having fun playing with that. So I have to play first before I can like narrow it down, but I'm in the midst of playing. I'm learning what I need, in the way of like course creation and all that stuff. So it's been an interesting ride, even though it's only been a couple weeks. So,
AI has helped me a lot in my podcasting for sure, because it helps me write my transcripts. It helps me with show notes. It helps me with titles. I'm a terrible writer. I'm going to tell you that right up front. I'm a terrible writer.
Mm-hmm.
He ate his biscuit, it's terrible. So it's nice to be able to use it as a tool, not so much as do it for me, but use it as a tool to get the juices flowing so I can come up with something. Even if it's a title, I could still tweak it a little bit and make it my own. But but it's going to be the future. It's totally going to be the future and the way things are going to be running. So we got to kind of keep that in mind. What else? What else is going on with that?
In the way of the SOP or? Yeah.
Because I got clearing a space for yourself. I got boundaries, what we talked about, kind of clearing the space for yourself. The list that you made for yourself and the content.
Right.
So what else?
Which is now helping me with the implementation.
Okay.
So I've got questions for myself that I'm answering in order to then take the step into ChatGPT and, go ahead and get something created with that. So that way I can then, so this is part of the list, and then I already know my date. So I have to like figure out how I'm going to make all this work before, what date did I push? Give me a second. I think I did the 17th of February. So that's my goal. If I meet it, great. If I don't, I'm not going to be upset with myself. And here's the reason why, because I've actually worked towards it. So I know that I have definitely had some mentors in the past that are just like, don't miss that date. Make sure you do it. And when I get that pressure on me, it just makes me shrivel up. Nope, I'm not going to be able, because something in life will happen. And then it completely throws me off. And I'm like, now I'm never going to make it. And then I get so upset and so riled up. And it's just like, then I start thinking about everything that could possibly go wrong, and it all goes wrong. So I don't want to do that to myself. But the fact that I'm actually taking steps forward is what I'm trying to start celebrating, instead of just, I'm trying to implement the enjoy the journey, not just the outcome. So that has been helping me with this SOP because it's giving me things to check off.
So I like that. And I was actually going to make that point, but you made it for me. Don't get upset if you actually don't make it, but at least you're in the journey. You started something, and it's nice to have a goal, but don't be upset at yourself. Don't sabotage yourself because you don't make that goal. And that's something I had a lot of problems with before I started my business. I had a very bad habit of sabotaging myself when it came to anything that I wanted to do. If I wanted to buy a car, if I wanted to have a date with my wife, if I want anything, for some reason, I always sabotaged it. And the reason I sabotaged it is because I didn't feel I was worthy. I didn't feel like I was capable. So I would self-sabotage to stay in that square, in that little elevator, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
So I learned about the upper limit problem that I had. And that goes in, I think you said you read The Big Leap.
Yeah.
Yeah. that my upper limit was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was so low that I was always sabotaging myself. But now that I know about what I'm doing, and I see the same thing happening to you now, because you have these SOPs, you have these, and the mindset that you have now where you're not going to sabotage yourself raises that upper limit. Right? So I see you raising that upper limit for yourself. So that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a great necklace. I think I saw it on Uncommon Goods. It's this little circle that's broken glass, and it's to represent the breaking the glass ceiling that everybody puts themselves in. So
I always think of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when they break through the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
That's what I did. Whenever I talk about that, that's the thing that goes through my head is breaking through the glass in the ceiling and the glass elevator.
Yep.
Tell me about clearing your space. What does that mean?
Physically clearing my space. Like I have to have the clutter gone. If my space is cluttered, then I end up thinking about way too many things and I'm not focusing on what I need to do. So it not only helps me with, visually, outwardly, it helps me internally too, because I know if I have a cleared space, then I can focus on what it is I need to do. And knowing that I have cleared that space for that amount of time, because my clearing of my space isn't just my physical space, and mental, but it's the time. And that's the part I think that has been the biggest for me, because I wasn't allowing myself. I was like, oh, well, I can just go quickly do some laundry. I can do the dishes real fast. And I can take the dogs out, And next thing you know, my hour that I was giving to myself was completely gone. So I've cleared the thoughts of doing all of that so that way I can just focus on what I need to do and answering questions and checking off my list and, figuring out the next step, so.
But what's that also called?
I don't remember.
Prioritizing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that.
It's not just clearing the space. Clearing the space is great and you're doing the right thing. But also you got to understand that you're prioritizing what you want most first.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to have your time first. The time, not just the time to do what you do, but the time to clear things out, the time to clear your head, the time you're prioritizing yourself first. That's a big step.
Really hard.
Yes, it is.
That is really hard for somebody who has responsibility high, because you always take on way more than you should, because you say yes more than no, or yes instead of not now. So and then you're just completely overwhelmed.
Exactly. So, and it's funny that you put it that way too, because you're going to understand when you say yes to something, that means you're saying no to something else, right? When you say, yes, I'm going to take the dogs out for a walk, which means you're saying no to yourself because you're taking that extra time away from what you've actually prioritized for yourself. When you say yes to the dishes, same thing. I'm not saying don't do them because you have a pile, you never get rid of it.
Sure.
But at the same time, prioritize. But at the same time, when you say no to something, what are you saying yes to? What are you saying? Yes, I'm going to say no to this so I can say yes to Lori. I'm going to say no to this so I can say yes to working on my checklist, right?
Yes.
It goes both ways. So when you're hearing...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
So for me though, whenever I say yes to something, I literally take psychological ownership of it. Every aspect of it. And it's fascinating when you're talking to me about prioritizing and everything. So I'm taking psychological ownership of the yes. And I've always, always, always done that. But I've never taken psychological ownership of the no. which has been huge because now that I've taken psychological ownership of no, this is my time. It's been quite the tug of war before, but now it doesn't feel that way. It feels like, no, you're doing this for everyone that you've been wanting to do it for, so yes, you can say yes to them and, and you're going to own up to it. You're going to do it. But when you say no, because this is going to be good for you, meaning them, then it's good for me because then I was like, look what I did. I got some accomplishment. I don't feel frustrated. Oh, you seem so much better. Yeah, because I actually did something that I wanted to do.
Exactly. And it's going to circle right back into freedom. And it's going to circle right back into your why, right?
Yeah.
It all builds from there.
Yeah. Love it.
So when you feel the urge to say yes to something you think you really should say no, it's hard to do. Yes, you're right. Don't take psychological ownership. Stop and think about the answer before answering like this. Can you do the dishes? Yes. Think, wait a minute, if I do the dishes or if I do this or do that, what am I saying no to?
Right.
Take that extra 2 seconds to think about how that's going to work out, kind of future it in your head. So if you really should prioritize this ahead of Lori.
Right. Exactly. So, and I'm good at it, like turning a thought into action like that. To the point that I don't get the goals done that I want to get done. And it's like, oh, and then I get so mad at myself. And then you're in that lovely hamster wheel and horrible circle to be in.
Yeah.
But it's great when you break out of it.
It is. It's very freeing, just like we were talking about earlier. When you realize you have the capability, you have the ability to say no matter what it is. You have that choice. A lot of us, especially me, when I was first growing up and going out and doing things, I didn't think I had the ability to say no. I said yes to everything. And I found myself in a very dark place because I said yes to everything and put my feelings, my emotions, my needs, my wants aside. I thought that's the way I was supposed to be because I'm a man, right? I'm a man. I'm supposed to say yes to everything because everybody depends on me. That's my superhero syndrome happening right there.
Yeah.
So I still suffer from that a little bit, but I've broken out of that a lot. And because I've broken out of that, I'm able to do coaching. I'm able to do my podcasts. I'm able to do things that I'm capable of doing because I say no to other people and I say yes to me. And you could do the same thing. You're already doing it. I need you to keep doing it, Lori.
Okay.
I need you to keep doing it because you're doing the right thing. What new boundaries have you set for yourself?
That those little bit of times that I have for business is my time.
So what are
That's the
those
biggest thing.
If I'm not prying too much, what are those times?
Saturday mornings, Wednesday evenings, sometimes Mondays. So Monday evenings. So those are the days that I have prioritized to do things. And even when it comes to like leaving work right on time, so that way I can get home, or leaving work right on time and jumping on this, or even maybe staying at work a little bit so I can do the Zoom and it's not interrupted because I'm in the car. So, or jotting things down, making sure that I jot those things down. I've taken the time to jot it down so I can get it done. And rather than trying to keep it all in my head. So those are some of the boundaries that I've given myself. It's just like I've allowed myself the time. And I know I keep saying time. And it's just because I was letting it slip by for so long. And also allowing the interruptions to get in the way I'm done with it. Finally. And I can say that with certainty rather than just in the moment. It's just like, yeah, I can say no. And then you ask me 3 things. Yeah, I can do those too. No, I'm sorry. I don't have time. Not right now. And yeah, I would let other people's reactions bother me because they would get upset. And, I didn't want to rock the boat or whatever, but I am really good at rocking boats and I'm okay with that now.
As
And I
long
wasn't before.
as long as you rock them your way,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Not somebody else on the outside doing this,
Yeah,
right? You're doing your own rocking.
exactly.
Okay.
To create my own ways, not
Right.
just ride somebody else's.
Exactly.
So,
So have you found spaces of time that you didn't have before that you have now?
yes,
Give me a couple examples.
this time at night.
Well, yeah.
Because normally I'm in bed. So, but I found that it's like, all right, I can do this. And, I've figured out, some supplements that can help me, not just relying on caffeine and such, and, you know, with using Saturday mornings because I don't work on the weekends. And I used to have jobs where I worked on the weekends. I can't say I don't have that time because, oh, I can sleep an extra hour. Oh, I can just, chill out for a little bit longer. Instead of chilling out, let's do something productive. So, but not to the point where I burn out. So I'm trying to find that medium, but right now, because I only have it set for small increments, it's not going to burn me out if I stick to it. So, but I'm also allowing some flexibility too, if in the event life happens. But I'm doing it for life, not because of life.
If you plan for those things to happen way ahead of time, then, if they do happen, you're prepared for them. That's why a lot of times I'll do my podcast 3 or 4 or 5 episodes ahead of time. Because what happens if on those particular days that I normally edit, something happens, I have to take, my cat to the vet, or something happens with my wife or something like that,
Sure.
As long as you have that time that you've put aside and you're that far ahead, you could take that extra time for those emergencies and not have it encroach into what your time actually is, or, that you've planned for yourself, or the things that you've planned ahead of time for yourself. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's really, really good. Tell me about your list. Yeah, that you like to cross things out. You like to check things. Tell me about that.
Well, it's just, the fact that I have each day in order to do like for this time I'm going to learn, for this time I'm going to answer questions in order to help me create the course, and for this time I'm going to really those are the only 2 times that I've got right now.
That's okay.
The third time would be like eventually do coaching. So this is when I'm going to coach, this is when I'm going to mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So so the fact that it's like, yes, I did this, and yes, I did that. So yes, I did the learning. Yes, I did the answering of the questions. That has been huge. And now I get to do the next step, which is figuring out the new platform in order to start to do the content and the email sequences and all of that stuff. So, but still keeping in mind that your idea of trying to do the free thing and not selling, that's going to be freeing as it is, so I'm excited about that. It's like, why should I know why I should sell. Don't get me wrong. I was about to say, why should I sell something? But I do want to sell things. So I want to get out of the 9 to 5. But by the same token, it's just like, well, let's take that step and see what that brings me. At least I'll have the connections and I'll start getting, some of the audience coming to me rather than it just be nothing because I can't find a venue or whatever. So, so I'll have that as a check mark, hopefully in the near future.
Money is a byproduct of your service and how well you serve others.
Exactly.
So if you want that money, don't just go in. Don't be like your emails where you just go in there and pitch, right? You want to go in there. You want to go in there and create connections. That coming into my head. I know we're talking about your list, but I want to make sure
It's
that
all
was
right.
said. Okay.
No, it's fine because, if you can create trust and create community, you're going to ultimately create, success.
Right.
So,
Exactly. So if you have your checklist, say, for example, but you miss a check, what is that? What kind of emotion would that have for you if you miss a check?
depends on the day. Usually what it means is like, oh, I'm going to circle back to that the next time. So, or I will carry it over to another list so that way it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Whereas before it would irritate me that I didn't get it done. And then I get into that whole mindset of this isn't working. It's too hard. Why should I do this? And then I hear, grandma or my uncle. It's just like, well, yeah, we told you.
Right.
So, and it's like, no, I'm going to show you. So is where I'm going with now, whereas before I was like, yeah, they were right. Why should I bother? So, but I don't know. Ever since I figured out that whole Ignite thing,
Mhm.
it's not bothering me as much. I'm able to circle back to it. Or if it keeps lingering, it's like, well, it must not be a priority. So just let it go for now. Just kind of give it back. Somebody else will take care of it, and just to help me with keep moving forward.
Good. That's actually what I was hoping you'd say. Yeah, I was hesitant there for a second, but then you came around to it. So, phew. Okay. So yeah, if it keeps building up and building up, if you keep getting that zero instead of the extra whatever, that means either it needs to be prioritized somewhere else or gone altogether, or you delegate it if you can.
Yeah.
If you have the capability of delegating it, then do it. Even if it's a family member, hey, can you take care of this for me real quick or something like that? Sometimes a VA can do it pretty cheap. That depends on how things work for you. But the point there is, I'm glad you had a plan for that zero that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Because I know before, just like you said, you'd get frustrated about it and it would just keep bugging and like the whole time.
Yep.
So thank you for that. That's amazing. That's exactly what I was hoping for.
You're welcome.
Tell me about this platform that you have and that you need to learn.
Well, it's new to me, but I'm sure it's not new to a lot of other people. It's System.io, I think is how it's written out, where you can have the funnel pages, you can have the CRM, you can have and it's not as expensive as some of these CRMs that I've had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked. I was like, what? I've been paying so much more for that on the last two platforms that I had. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And this has been out here for how long? And I'm like, great. So while it does frustrate me that I have to find to learn yet another platform, it's not WordPress, which me and WordPress did not get along. Just like
Me either. Yeah.
me and HTML did not get along.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if this seems like it's pretty simple to put together and like cut and paste and just plop, and I'm just like, okay. And there's a free version to it, so which was even more shocking to me. So that's why I just need to learn it, and so I can like put things together, put back together a website, and go from there. That's where I'm going to have my friend ChatGPT help me do.
Yeah,
So,
good idea. Some of the ones I work with actually have a AI already integrated in with it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having to go to ChatGPT or anything else, all I have to do is go to their AI they have built into it and then just do it there.
And
then,
this one may have that. I just
who knows? Yeah.
literally learned about it like a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
So a creative is using it. She's doing a phenomenal job. She's got funnel pages all over the place. She's got email sequences done. And it's just like, and she just threw it together like that. And I was like, I'm not as good as she is in the way of how she can quickly put things out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited about the fact of the ease of something that I can do without having to like literally get into step-by-step programming. So, which others that I've done were like that. I was like, just give me a teal. I don't care what the actual color code is of how many digits or cap letters it is. I don't care about that. Just give me teal. Fine. So
That's awesome. Good. I'm glad you're getting into that. And having that's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you with your email marketing. It's going to help you with your creativity. It's going to help you with a lot of different things that you didn't even know you could do until you actually get down and get to it. Make sure you set time aside for yourself to, even if you're just watching a quick YouTube video on how to do blah, that's only like 10 minutes. Hey, now you know how to do it, or at least you know where to go to for the resource. That's how I learned a lot of what I do. I just went to YouTube on my lunch break. I took 15 minutes while I was eating a sandwich and learned how to use Canva.
Nice.
Right. Take that extra couple minutes when you're doing something that's not taking up a whole lot of energy, and use that to learn something, to self-educate yourself. And that's another thing I wanted to go over with self-education and what you're doing to self-educate yourself for these things. So it sounds like you're self-educating yourself for these, for the new platform, the system.io. What else are you self-educating for yourself?
Well, I joined the inner circle for taking strings to a whole new level. So it's an inner circle like Mastermind, and with a group of people who don't need to learn like the beginnings of how to go through like a string support, but actually going into depth with it on a whole different level than what it was designed for. So, and I think it's gonna be amazing. So I'm doing that right now in the way of self-education when it comes to the strength side of things. Now, when it comes to the system and everything, I do have a person I can reach out to in order for her. And so one of the creative I was talking about, who could teach me how to use it. And I'm willing to spend money with her, for one, to further her and her small business, and two, to help me get the education. So it's kind of win-win. And, I could go faster than what I'm doing. So those are the two things I'm doing right at this moment.
So how is that going to affect or get you to the next level? What do you think that's going to be like?
Well, the fact that I would actually have something in play that I could promote that, it's somewhat tangible. I mean, it's something to actually look at and see, and you can't touch it, but I mean, it would be operational rather than just put together. Yeah, I have a website. Go to this website, but the links don't work and this don't work, and I don't try the course, so I would actually have something complete, and that's what I haven't had this whole time, is something complete. The one time I did have something complete, it cost me a lot of money, and then I had no traffic to it. So, and that is not my intention this time, nor my goal. So I'm going to make sure that it will eventually pay for itself.
So what are you going to do this time as compared to last time? What's that going to look like?
Just not give up when it got hard, not have those thoughts to stop me in my tracks like I did before. So I'm holding on to Ignite for dear life at this moment. And because it's going to just help me and others, and me more so than others.
So
I just need to do it. Life is too short. I've seen too many people passing in recent days that it's hit home hard. So
it's the same thing for me too. I just say, I'm seeing that as well. So that's probably one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing too. Same thing, But when I say what you need to do, how do we not spend that extra money? How do we not fall down that same rabbit hole when you actually have a product? What are we going to do from there? Okay, let's say we've actually made the product. What are we going to do with that product? How are we going to accomplish that?
Well, with having partnerships with this mastermind, that's going to be helping to keep me in check. So I have accountability in those other people, not just for myself, because I know I can quite easily go off on a tangent somewhere and rabbit hole, whatever you want to call it. It just go completely in left field and I won't come back from it. And then I'll get mad and I'll just be, I'm done. I can't do this. And at least with this group, that won't be allowed. So like, why are you, the questions would be raised. Why are you going in that direction? You said you were going to do this, let's steer you back. So it'll help me stay in my own lane.
Okay.
Rather than trying to go all over the highway.
So I just, a quick suggestion.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure I get this out to you. When you have the product done, use these people to your advantage and have them test it for you.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's going to get all the, not all, but most of the kinks out. Sorry, my camera keeps going weird.
Okay.
We don't want to put it out there and people like not buy it. And then you lose all this extra money because that's what happened last time.
Yeah.
So we're going to avoid that by testing, not just testing the product, but testing to make sure that the product is wanted.
Exactly.
Right. So earlier you talked about a beta group. You started using that terminology earlier.
True.
Right. We want to do the same thing for this course that you're making. You want to try to get a beta group in for free or cheap, like $5-10 or whatever, even though you're going to sell it for $200 a pop. That way they can test it, make sure it's good. At the same time, too, they're going to let you know, will I even buy this for free? I don't know.
Right.
Right. So you don't waste too much money. You're going to waste more time than money at that particular point because you had time to make the course. Okay. But it's easier to spend time than it is money. Once you spend the money, it's gone. You can make up time.
Yes and no.
Well, yes and no. Yeah, I see it. But do you see where I'm going with on that, though?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right. Yeah, I can't get that time back after you've spent it. But what I'm saying is you can use more time to adjust. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
So make sure you use this group to your advantage. Have them look at it and see if they think it's viable. And if they don't think it's viable, make sure you ask them why.
Yeah, I know. I want to get the feedback as to why it doesn't work. And I also want to get the feedback as to why it would work.
Yes.
So that's where I'm going. That's where I was going to go with it. So even with doing something at the library, can you see yourself, doing a course like this? Can you see yourself like doing, something that would involve a price? And yes, no, maybe so. So I just know I have to be careful with that with the library because I'm not supposed to sell something.
Yeah, you got to be careful crossing that line a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You'll figure it out. Though. I'm sure you will. I'm pretty sure you will. So, all right. So what do you know where you're at now? What do you want to see for yourself? What's your next goal? What's the next thing that you maybe possibly need help with? What's the next thing to happen for you, Lori?
Well, the SOP was the biggest step to definitely get things rolling. And now with that checklist, I want this sense of accomplishment of like something tangible and done. So that's the part that I think I need more time than anything else to get through. So, I know that may not be the best answer for your question, but that's really where I feel where I'm at right now.
No, that's okay. You need an SOP for your SOP.
Yeah. Yeah.
As weird as that sounds, that's kind of what you need to do.
Yeah.
You need to sit down and actually make a plan of when and how you're going to put your SOP together. I mean, you got it started.
Yeah.
But we need to continue on to that and make sure we have the time, the energy, whatever you need to get that SOP done, because that's going to be a main cornerstone of what you're going to accomplish.
Yeah, and it'll obligate me to have the deadline so I can actually have a sense of achievement, in getting those goals and actions done. So.
But don't go overboard with it where you have this the sense of achievement, but at the same time, if you don't make it, you falter.
I understand that. And,
Yeah.
but I need to have some kind of sense of urgency. Otherwise, I know I can easily go into that lackadaisical. I'm like, I'll eventually get to it. And
Well,
I don't want to go there. So
who is this SOP for?
I know it's for me.
For me, or well, for you. So, don't let yourself down. That's
Exactly. And
that's the only real drive I use for myself is don't let me down.
And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I mean, I didn't think that, 2024, my year, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeding into that or even buying that until I was just like, you know what? Life is too short. I've got to do this. And when I figured out that, like I said, and I keep coming back to it, the word ignite, it just sends this whole like burning desire to get things done.
So is that your definition of ignite? The burning desire to get things done?
For now, yeah. Because it'll be forever evolving, So, but that's where I'm at.
Make it part of what you actually do. I mean, ignite is a word, but we need to have a really strong definition of what ignite actually means to you and be that thing. I'm not saying, give me the definition of ignite right now. I know it's still going to be a work in progress, but having that definition of what ignite actually means to you is what's going to drive you forward and point you in a direction. Because now we have a word chosen. We have a word chosen. Now we need to define that word 100% without question.
And I guess I know I keep coming back to time, but burning desire to get things done, in order to keep moving me forward. So if I don't move forward, if I don't get things done in order to move to the next step, that's where I go down the rabbit hole and start like messing things up. So, but now to say burning desire, which just kind of came out of nowhere.
That's how the best stuff comes.
Yeah, really just kind of sets true. So, if I don't get it, it's like, who's going to do it? If I'm not going to do it, I just have to get it done.
I would actually do, I don't know if I have the capability of doing it right now. It's probably late. A Post-it brainstorm on the word ignite. Do you understand what that is?
I do.
Okay. So
I understand that completely.
Right. So I would actually start with the word ignite and just take 5 minutes and everything that makes me that I could associate with ignite. That's what I post up there and use those posts in those brainstorms somewhere in those post-it notes. You're going to have your definition of ignite because you're going to let it flow. It's going to flow out of you. And that's how I do everything. When I come across something like that, where it's a definition where I don't have something solid definition or anything along those lines, I will do a post-it brainstorming and it's always in there. Every single time I've done it, the definition of whatever I'm trying to find, it's in those post-it notes.
Okay.
Because right now, subconsciously, you're kind of thinking about it. Plus I'm on a screen, plus, blah, 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 and my editing brain's thinking.
Yeah.
You need to shut that all off and just have your creative brain work 100%. And that's what that's going to do for you. So I would actually strongly suggest doing that. And it only takes about 5, maybe 10 minutes after readjusting everything and sectioning everything out. But ultimately, in the end, you're going to have your full definition, what ignite actually means to you, Lori.
Okay, that makes sense. I had something like that before. It was more like a word. It's along the lines of like a word dump. Doesn't have to make sense. Just write it down.
But the problem is on a Word doc, you can't really group things. So after you're done with that, you start grouping. Ignite. Okay, this is an emotion. This is an SOP. This is you could start moving things around, and that's why I love Post-it notes. I wish I could buy stock in it, just because the capability of pruning, the capability of why did I even say that? Being able to move things around like that, you really can't. You do that in a work doc. There's other programs that you can do that with, other brainstorming programs, but they cost money. And why would I do that if I want to just spend 80 cents on a pack of Post-it notes?
And I have plenty of space behind me.
Yeah. See, there you go.
go.
So I would actually do that to find your full and definition of Ignite you can use as your tagline. Like my tagline, I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. Something strong like that for yourself with the word Ignite, or use Ignite as an acronym for something, or Ignite's going to be something major in your business. It really is. I really have a feeling it's going to be something major, but you need to find out where it sets in your business so you can use it for whatever it ends up being.
Okay. Now you got my brain just churning. Okay.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
All right. So how else can I serve you? Is there anything else that you want to cover? You want to talk about? Anything crossing your mind? Anything like that at all?
No, I've got some good things to go do. So I want to get those done first before diving into something else. So
okay, good. Make sure you get some sleep first, because I know it's late. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. What are the top 3 takeaways that we talked about?
Well, finishing the SOP. Congrats on letting go of things that didn't work for you. I love the idea of the Post-it notes with the Ignite. So I know that's 3 already. And basically just keep on keeping on.
Keep doing what you're doing, because you're heading in the right direction.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And besides going to bed, what's one thing you're going to do after you get up in the morning? I know it's late. What's one major thing you want to make sure you accomplish right away?
I'm just going to keep I'm definitely going to keep reading what I wrote from Saturday.
Okay.
That's going to be first and foremost. And then try to, I don't know, I want to make the time, figure out, schedule the time in order to do the Post-it thing. Because now I like looking in behind me and I've got all these little boxes and I'm like, I could fill all of that with Post-it notes. So, I might just figure out, schedule a time in order to do that. So that's what I'm going to do.
Make sure you set a timer for 5 minutes. Otherwise, you're going to fill that thing up and completely overwhelm yourself.
Gotcha. I'll make sure to do the 5 minutes. No worries. But that would be something I could do in the morning. Yeah. When you wake up fresh, it's just like Ignite. Okay, go.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Finish your coffee first so the juices are flowing there.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to stop recording here, but I do have something I want to talk to you about.
Thank you for listening to the coaching edition of The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, brought to you by Doing It Today Coaching. If you want to get across the start line, contact me, DJ Scoob, at doingittodaycoaching@gmail.com. Say the words "do it now" for a free 2-hour discovery call to see how I can help you in your entrepreneur adventure. Art and graphics by Elaine Wilson, supported by my Patreons, Brian Briggs of Ocean Tree Creative and Oliver Siegel of Anal, and hosted by me, DJ Scoob. Click the show notes below for more information. And remember, I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. As a worker of 2 full-time jobs and a podcast and a coach, every minute counts in my day-to-day. It's hard to be consistent in any of my social medias, and at this point, I just can't hire a social media manager. It's just too gosh darn expensive. Pinnacle AI to the rescue. I've been using Pinnacle AI for a couple of weeks now and seen big improvements in my reach and consistency. Do you want to have time and increase your productivity too? Go to tuepodcast.net/AI for more information. Save yourself time and grow your brand. Try it now and see what it can do for you.